All right, we should be live now, but we'll give some people a little bit of time to roll in before we officially start. We got some people already up in the chat here. I see Ritos, I see Shia Mia. We got Justin Carter and Dylan Howe. They were in before the stream started. How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's having a good night. We're hanging out. I guess we'll start the introduction now. We have Brian from PokeNE on the stream. And if you are not familiar with me, I feel like I don't say my name very often. My name is TJ. I'm from It Was Never a Phase Cards. And we're just going to have a little bit of a chat today. Brian was kind enough to hop on the stream, so huge thanks to Brian. He has, if you're not familiar, if you haven't seen his content, he'll tell you about it, but it's like a seven-figure Pokemon card business. He's very transparent. That's what I say. He's very transparent with his numbers, with his approach. He's not afraid to like hit you in the face when it comes to facts. And part of the reason I reached out to Brian and wanted to have him on was that upfront and transparent thing. I think is really it's like a big thing that he does. He preaches it, right? If you've seen his videos, you know. And he's not afraid to tell you how it is. And comparatively to me, I'm not really a business. I sell some stuff on eBay, nothing crazy. But Brian is, pretty massive when it comes to the sealed market, having multiple distributors. So I think it's some interesting conversations to be had on like kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, but still being in the same hobby. So, that's the whole purpose of the stream. So we'll just get started straight into it.
Cool.
Having such a profound business and working a lot of hours, putting so much time into it, you've really grown, dedicated to it. Do you have a collection of any sort, a PC, as far as the cards go, or has it shifted to it's just the grind of the business?
Yeah, it's mostly business stuff. I had a crazy collection as a kid, and I sold it all to buy Legos. And I sold the Legos to buy a car. I bought a nice Cadillac from 1987, and then I crashed it, totaled it, and lost all my money. So in my adulthood, I ended up buying the typical, sets you'd buy if you were, a teenager in like 2007, 2008, a lot of that era. Mm-hmm. Ended up selling a lot of it, just college, etc. Starting to collect stuff again now, but I don't really like to collect things that you can scan with a barcode and buy on eBay in 1 second. Like my goal for collections is to buy like really unique, weird items. The test print cards would have been one of those items had they not had they been real. Uncut sheets are something I have my eye on again with a lot more caution now. Sure. My absolute grail collection item would be the that wooden box for the 25th anniversary, like Creatures employees. I want that. So I don't have binders or anything that I'm like actively building. I've got stuff left over in a drawer over here. I did keep my that original like binder that every 90s kid had with the 3 starters on it. It had that rubbery smell to it. Yeah. I have that still.
Okay, that's cool.
I don't know. I'm hooked up. But I don't like actively try to master sets right now. I just don't smoke crack, you just sell it kind of attitude right now.
Okay, I gotcha. Any graded cards or anything like that?
I got my my first product in the store was a Japanese Grand Prix Illustrator Charizard. That was like the first product we ever sold. So I graded one of those as kind of to commemorate the first sale, and I got a 10, so I'm super stoked about that. And then this guy Nacho TCG, he apparently watches me on YouTube, and I guess I helped him get a business started. And he came up to me at Collecticon. He was like, "Dude, I listened to everything you said. I started a business. As a thank you, I want to give you this." And it was a Charizard with Leon card and a PSA 10. So that's one I really hold deep because I'm like, oh, this was a nice gift. So like that's one that'll permanent collection. And then just a couple random pieces I picked up at Collecticons. But as far as like being an active grader, I'm not really into that scene too much.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I had to ask if there was maybe something that was there in the collection there. Speaking of, you just brought up Collecticon, and we just had one here in LA. I was able to go to the Saturday of that. But so kind of being on the different sides of the hobby, do you enjoy Collecticon conventions, or like what are you getting from those when you go? Because I'm pretty sure you went last year. I think to LA. I want to say I want to say I saw you there. I didn't say anything, but I want to say I saw you walking around the show floor. So like what are you getting on your side out of a convention, or is it just kind of like to scope it all and take everything in?
Yeah, it seems like everyone went to LA this year except me, so I'm a little mad about that. I did go last year, and I went to Atlanta a couple weeks ago, actually. Okay. I love Collecticon. I think it's so fun. I see all the people that either subscribe to me or that I'm subscribed to. So all the YouTube, like the IRL YouTube is kind of cool to see. Everyone goes to it. Like everyone goes to one Collecticon. So you get to see everybody that you like comment and interact with online. So honestly, that's the main goal, is just to say what's up to people. I don't vend. I don't really do anything business related, to be honest, unless you consider like networking business related. But I just walk around and I usually meet people that I've been wanting to meet for a while. I actually met Chum Lee. He apparently watches my channel and he's a big fan of it. So I was like extremely flattered, because like he's a Pawn Star. Like I watched that show for forever, like 10 years. And so him coming up to me and saying like, hey, I like your channel. Like I watch you all the time. Like that was a good feeling. So I got to network with him. Me and him chilled in the back of his booth for a while and talked about, he's got a podcast for his like old Pawn Stars crew. And, you know, because I went, like, I'm going to maybe be on there one day. Like there's this little, you unlock little things when you go to these conventions. And I don't think vending is like the highest tier way to get value from it. I think you're better off kind of being a free agent and moving around. Because if you vend, you're behind a table all day and you got to rely on people to come to you. But if you're a free agent and you're walking around, you can go to everyone's table, talk to them. I got to see Arvin from Goated Polls. I usually walk around Nostalgianomics if he's there. I got to see so many people. I don't know. I love Collecticon, to answer your question.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I just was wondering, like, also too, when the business aspect gets so in depth and you're working so many hours and you're up at 4 a.m. packing orders, like how much, you know, a certain level of shininess has to be, you know, like wears off, you know, after a certain point. So I just was wondering. So it sounds like you're still enjoying it. It's just kind of in a different way, which is nice to hear.
Yeah, in all honesty, I was never like a huge Pokemon card like aficionado. I've always been, I like the games. So the games are what like changed my entire life. Like Diamond Pearl, well, Ruby Sapphire Emerald and the Diamond and Pearl were like kind of the top ones. But I love, like, me and my buddy still play the Switch every time there's a new release. We're amped for the next one. So it didn't really destroy the magic of the cards too much selling them as a business, but I could see how it would corrupt you if you go straight from like big player to I'm going to make money on this now.
Gotcha.
Seems realistic.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, like with the market right now, you know, obviously we're in an extreme bull market, things really elevated. What was your experience like with the ramp up of like how it happened? Because it kind of felt like it came kind of quick, but then it kind of felt like it was a little bit of a build. Kind of since Twilight Masquerade is kind of where I kind of saw the turn with the Greninja and everything of this era. What was it like on the selling side of just selling so much sealed? Like, how did you see the ramp up happening?
It was very, very sudden. A lot of folks will say Twilight Masquerade is when it started, and I'm sure on some level in the macro sphere that's true. For us, I didn't really see anything like truly like, oh my God, until I'd say about 5 or 6 weeks ago is when like I noticed stuff that would just sit on my shelves for years, literally, just start selling. Like my wife and I would do the orders together, and sometimes I'd notice her like pulling certain items out from the shelves and putting them on our bin cart for fulfillment. And I'll be like, oh man, that sold. Like who bought that? Because it's stuff that no one wanted for the longest time. And she'd be like, yeah, we sold like 6 of these today. And so I'd be like, oh shit, like I must have priced this wrong or something must have changed. So I went in my back end and I saw, no, people just really want this item all of a sudden. It was like something random as hell, some random tin. And then as like the last couple weeks progressed, that became the norm. Every single item that has just been sitting in the back is selling like crazy. We went from between like $6,000 and $9,000 a day in sales, 9 on a pretty good day, to 15,000 minimum to 25,000 a day in sales just in the past, 4 weeks or so. And it has just been like, it's insane. I mean, everything about my life is busier now. And items that we used to break down for packs, like I had Mimikyu EX boxes, Cyclizar boxes, Scarlet, Violet, Paldea, Evolved tins, all this crap that nobody had any interest in, that we were like ripping open for packs. All of a sudden, that stuff's selling by the case. So lately, I've just been on the phone with distributors and suppliers from Japan, just getting as much. I mean, we're importing $30,000 to $50,000 of stuff a day now, running up and down the stairs. I'm in a basement. Like, this isn't a store. We have a staircase, and so we're getting our exercise in. So yeah, it wasn't really Twilight Masquerade. It was like about a month ago is when I started seeing it ramp up, and it just hasn't slowed down.
Okay, yeah. So Prismatic would be.
Yeah, I think Prismatic would. Yeah, I think that would probably be when people realized they couldn't get it, they bought everything else. That's probably a good way to put it.
What about the Surging Sparks? Because that came out the gate real hot too.
Surging Sparks, it did come out the gate hot. We didn't really get very many of them. Like they sold, that was when we were doing pre-sale. So we would do pre-orders, a couple weeks before a set came out. That was normal at the time. And we put them up for like $115 a box because we had no idea that people would pay 200 something for them a couple weeks later. So we sold them all in the pre-sale. So when they landed, I just packaged them up and sent the orders out, and that was it. Like I never got more of it. So I didn't really get to see a lot of Surging Sparks move here because basically 100% of what we got, we sold.
I see.
Before the release date. Yeah. So it was kind of weird. So we don't do that anymore. Obviously, we don't play the pre-order game these days.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. There was a lot of other sellers canceling people's pre-orders when they saw the price go up. Obviously they want to make money, but that's a bad look on your business. So you honored your pre-orders, you went through it, and you moved on to the next set.
There was a ton of that. And I don't think I would never shame a store, especially like a physical game store, for charging over MSRP. Like that's not I don't go there. But I will shame all the people who pre-sold like I did before the hype and then canceled their pre-sale and then relisted at a higher price, because that was the majority of people. And I have no problem shaming those people. That's complete garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Super frustrating, especially if you're on the consumer end of that. Real quick, wanted to give a shout out to Rudy's Basement with the super chat. Pokey NE's Basement has a nice ring to it. We also have Pokey Plumber making another appearance. Brian's an absolute legend. So you were just on with awesome. Plumber and Nomics, I believe, on a recent stream as well. So just the other day. Those guys are freaking awesome. I've known Alex for a long time. Pokey Plumber, I watched him a lot, like on Alex's channel, but he's got a channel now too, so I watch him every day now. He's awesome. Yeah, he's doing great. Actually, you know what? We should set some. If Plumber, if you want to set something up too, we can do something later. That'd be cool. I like Plumber's approach too.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he seems really nice. Okay, next up, interesting topic. I want to say you might have touched on this recently. Do you believe, and you got a little bit of inside information with multiple distributors, you might get some tidbits here and there. Do you believe that currently, like as of right now, Pokemon is actually printing at 100% capacity? And how, if they are, like, how long have they actually been at 100? If you think that.
Yeah, I think when people say like they're printing at 100% capacity, I think in people's heads they're like imagining their little thought bubble is like the factory printing. What's the stat everyone wants? Like Journey Together right now. Like they're not printing Journey Together. It's already all done. Yeah. They're not. So when people are like, oh, they're printing at 100, it's like, well, no, they're printing at 100% capacity for the sets that come out in September. Like that's what they're doing right now. I've heard numbers from 7 to 10 months, and this seems pretty consistent with how early they print a set out before it's like actually distributed to all the warehouses. So it doesn't really matter if they're like printing to capacity right now, because everything that you're going to have trouble getting, Journey Together, Destined Rivals, Black and White, all that stuff you're already screwed on. Like, you're not going to get it for a fair price unless you're clicking buy now. Do I think they're printing to full capacity for the next like 8-month cycle? Yeah, I do. I think they're going to try their best to meet demand now. I don't think I see the argument where Pokemon like does want the hype to be big, and they do want people to have a little bit of trouble finding products on the shelf. I understand that logic, and I think it is true to an extent, but I think it's silly to look at the current state of the market and go, Pokemon wants this. Like, there's no shot Pokemon likes the fact that Journey Together is pre-selling for $220 on eBay. They don't want that. They want it to be better than it is now. So my biggest thing is, whatever they are currently printing now, they might be printing the September set right now. They might be printing the August set. I think they're ramping it up more than they anticipated they would. And either they're going to overdo it and there's going to be way too many of them, and then illogical people will panic sell, or they might get close. And I think it's going to be rough for like the rest of the year, honestly, but I do think it'll improve.
Gotcha.
Okay. Welcome, Zoe.
No, we're good. Okay. No, that makes total sense. I was bringing that up in the relationship to the announcement that Pokemon had made. I want to say it was actually on Prismatic release day, saying that they made that statement then. And so, kind of knowing that it was going to be delayed, it kind of just seemed like a, calm down, it's going to be okay. But a lot of people, take that as it's going to be much quicker, than the reality of it.
I think they just wanted to shut people up.
Yeah.
I think it was just a social media like PR stunt. I do think they are going to try in the future, but to pretend, I think they wanted people to read that and go, oh great, Prismatic should be easy to get by this summer. And I don't personally believe that's true. I don't think Prismatic will ever be affordable, at least for the next year. I don't know. Japanese Pokemon's done the same thing, and they did actually print to demand. It just took them a long time. Like when Clayburst, Ruler of the Black Flame, Raging Surf, Triplet Beat, those were all like $150 to $200 at release. And these are Japanese sets, which MSRP at 40 USD. And when Pokemon Japan said they were going to print these properly, that still took several months before we saw it. But when it did happen, they were successful. Clayburst and all those other sets, they're still very affordable. So if the English Pokemon card company has the same effectiveness, like, we should be good, but I think it's going to be a lot longer than they insinuated.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like you said, like what they've done on the Japanese side, I mean, 151 was at what, like 200 plus a box for a while. And at one point it was down to around upper 40s, at least on the secondary market. Hard. So, they have the capabilities to do that if they want, because 151 being, the highest of demand sets, at least at the time, it felt like.
Definitely.
Here's a fun comment. We'll just take this one. I don't really do this a ton, but this one's kind of for you. Let's get your take on this. Yeah. You can take this one if you want. I'm not trying to make anything about it, but I just thought it was interesting.
Your fans would like to hear this on your end. We don't like every Pokédoucher just because we share a hobby. Is that a question?
I don't know. I just was wondering. I don't know.
I don't really. I don't know how to.
Okay, I'll tell you how I would take it. Is they don't like that you're coming on other streams, just every other person, and I'm assuming. So I just was.
Yeah, if you want to rephrase it, Hunter, if it's a question, I'd be happy to answer it. I don't really understand the statement though.
I wasn't trying to really make any drama, but I just thought it was interesting.
Interesting.
Okay. Moving forward. Sorry, I shouldn't have pulled that one up. We got another super chat from Renegade Vash. Do you think they will reprint current sets?
So, I just made a post about this actually. There's some tweet that went up from, I'm not even gonna say her name. Some girl on Twitter is like, oh yeah, confirmed reprints on, and it's just like a random list of sets. And everyone's like freaking out. Like she's got 130,000 views on this tweet. Paldea Evolved Booster Box, Obsidian Flames, Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks, Paldean Fates. And I responded, I'm like, where are you getting this information? And there wasn't a response yet. And someone else asked for the source, and she's like, well, it's not official yet, but it's they're in the talks. There's people in talks about it on the distribution end, despite the tweet saying confirmed reprints. So you're probably seeing these tweets about confirmed reprints, and the fact that she responded with "it's not official yet," ... that just tells me that you're looking for views and clicks. Apparently, according to your comment section, Anon TCG said there's also reprints. I have not heard that. There's another guy about my size with distributors who also has never heard that. So I think like every other time tweets like this go viral, it's just nonsense. And, you know, there was a Surging Sparks reprint in February. Remember when everyone was like, oh, Surging Sparks is going to reprint in February. You suckers paying $200 are going to regret it. So that little rumor that all you guys heard that wasn't exactly real. Yeah, that was booster bundles. And the booster bundles that I got, I needed to buy like thousands of dollars of toys and sleeves and all this other crap to get access to them. And they're all gone already. So I don't know who Anon TCG is. I don't know who this random girl on Twitter is, but I don't appreciate rumors that have absolutely no merit. In fact, this girl who got 130,000 views on her tweet about confirmed reprints, I found it very interesting that the first pinned post under that tweet is an affiliate link to some eBay listings that she's advertising. So I'm like, huh.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting, isn't it? Like make a viral tweet and then have an affiliate link to something right under there conveniently. So yeah, she'll get a video on that at some point. So to answer your question, no, I don't think there's any reprints happening right now because I literally sent that tweet to my distributor sales manager and I said, what the hell is this? And he went, that's called someone attention seeking. I'm like, yeah, I thought so. So no, I don't think any of that's real.
Okay. Yeah. And like also too, like if they are ramping up to any capacity or just maintaining 100%, you know, moving forward, like what sets, say back before the market was hot, right? Like what sets that would have maybe gotten a reprint are now not going to get a reprint potentially too, you know? You know, so like, would they even have time to reprint all these old sets? Like,
I would argue no. They've got too much stuff happening already.
Yeah.
If like, I never like it when, you know, people like me and you who we have no real connections, like pretend we know how the printing process works. But I think logically we can both like look at it. If they can't even print Journey together properly, then when would they have time to go back to Obsidian Flames and Paldea Evolved and all this? Like, when would they have time? To me, that doesn't seem realistic. And as far as like the reprints affecting the market too, it's like Paldea Evolved and Obsidian Flames, they did have a reprint and it was relatively sizable. I was able to get enough cases from that reprint to make a lot of my enemies mad. And there was a lot of drama with that who share my distributor. But even so, the market didn't shift at all. I mean, it maybe dipped for like a day. So even if Miss Random Twitter Pants over here and Pokey Annan or whatever, like even if they are right just by coincidence, I don't see it being newsworthy because I don't think there's going to be enough of them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Totally. And like I said, perfect time to defer to the man that has the distribution access, right? Who would have, if anyone's going to have inside information, right, it's going to be somebody like Brian. So
I'm like, I would have thought I'd hear about this. I've got 3 distros. Like no one told me.
Exactly. And working on a 4th, correct?
Yeah. Thank you for watching the content. Yeah. I feel like I would know, but maybe not. Maybe they don't want to tell the guy that's making the money, and maybe they want to tell random girls on Twitter. I don't know. Maybe that's their MO.
Yeah, they're leaking it. It's a leak. You just brought this up a little bit, talking about the toys, but you've been very vocal about, you know, how the process works and about building up your spend, right, with distros. And was there anything that came out of that, like some weird random thing that you bought that actually ended up kind of being like a gold mine, or like ended up being way better than you had thought? And at the time you were like, this piece of crap over here, you know, and you sat on a ton of it, and then it ended up being nice. Like, what was that? Like, if
that is such a good question. I love that. Let me think. I'm hoping that happens because my last order was I was able to get other TCGs. So I've got like Alpha Clash or something coming, and some Uni versus Colossus. I've got other stuff coming that I hope does what you said. As far as stuff that's happened, I can't say anything was a big banger. But it could have been, because several months ago, there was a bundle involving me having to buy Shrouded Fable ETBs, which at the time no one wanted, and then Obsidian Paldea involved, and Scarlet Violet base ETBs, which again at the time nobody wanted. And I bought those knowing that they'd sell, but I thought it would be more like make a couple bucks on an ETB type thing. And sure as hell, now ETBs, apparently Obsidian Flames is $80 an ETB. So if I would have held on to those, that would have been a good win. But for the most part, the crap that I get stuck with, it really is just crap that I'm sure like a local game store would probably be okay with like foot traffic, but nobody's searching on my site for like Ultra Pro red binder 2-inch sleeve. Like, it's just different. So hopefully that changes. Maybe your question will give me some good luck.
Yeah, right. That would be nice. Well, kind of piggybacking off that just a little bit. It seems like more recently, Pokemon investing in general has kind of come under fire. PokeRev kind of alluded to it, and I talked about this with Alex on the stream a little bit. Do you do any sort of percentage of what your product or that you get in? Do you hold back any certain percentage doing essentially investing, or you're so high volume that you have to churn through? You know, you're churning through to get to the next set. What does that look like on your end?
Yeah, I always have. Now I'm not, because I think it would piss people off. Like Journey Together, for example. I mean, if I was a true investor, I would just not sell any of it. I would just keep all X amount of boxes I'm getting, and it would probably be a great move. So no, that would just piss people off at this point. But yeah, for like Scarlet Violet base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, not Temporal, actually. I didn't get enough of those. Twilight, I kept a few, and Stellar Crown, I kept a bunch. For those sets, you know, the market price was like $110 to $115. So I was buying them for the distro price of, we'll say, between 90 and 100, so I don't get sued. And yeah, I kept about 10 to 20 cases of all those sets off the site, and nobody wanted them at MSRP. Nobody wanted them at 120. So I felt good. Like, my ethical brain felt good doing that, because I'm like, it's not MSRP and you're still not buying them. So now people see them on my shelf and they're like, oh my God, you're hoarding product. I'm like, no, I had all this stuff available at $110 for 6 to 10 months and nobody wanted it. So I shifted it to my other LLC where I hold as investments. And I do the same thing with Japanese products. I'm at the point now where we've built enough capital just from like, I never paid myself, so any profit I made just went back into the company. So we're at a point now where I can buy like, 1,000 booster boxes. I can buy a pallet of booster boxes and I'm still good. Like, I don't need to sell any of it, which is great. But we're also at a time now emotionally where if Brian kept a pallet of Journey Together booster boxes, I would probably do more harm for my brand than it be worth keeping them as an investment. So I'm going to sell through all of them. And then on the second round, because there's always a second round, when the distro charges like closer to market price, that's when I typically feel better keeping a bunch of them. So Surging Sparks, I bought those at 175 from my distro a month or so ago. And I kept most of those in the back, because at the time posting for over MSRP was looked down upon. So I'm like, well, guys, pick your poison. Do you want me to list it at a loss? No. Do you want me to list it over MSRP and then me get canceled? No. Okay, then I'm going to buy them for myself and keep them. That's what the world wanted. I did a poll on Instagram. That's what they chose. So I'm like, okay.
So you just ran with the poll.
Okay. Yeah, I just went with the poll. I'm like, all right, guys, like,
just
there you go.
It. Yeah. We got a question here from Pokemindset, directed for you, saying Alpha Investments recently released a video about the Japanese market. We've mainly been talking about English here, but you're the big Japanese guy, and how it is primarily a hot commodity in this market, and for that reason is too much of a risk. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm actually mad because I saw the thumbnail and I really wanted to watch that, and I went to the gym and I missed it. So this will give me a kind of a preview of what it's about. Hot commodity in this market, and for that too much of a risk. I think it depends on when you buy it. I think buying it at market price, like right now, I don't think any of it's investable at the current market price. Well, that's not true. Like Mask of Change is still very affordable. Crimson Haze, Stellar, Miracle. There's some affordable ones out there. I don't think that would be a bad investment for the ones that are like 50 USD. But yeah, I mean, as far as investing in like Japanese 151, Shiny Treasure EX, I mean, I see his point. But at the same time, we've been through a market like this very similar, 3 years ago. And if you would have invested in all those sets, you'd be very, very, very well off right now. So I don't know. I think it's definitely more volatile. I always tell people with 151, Japanese 151, every time they announce a reprint, that's when the price tanks, because supply and demand doesn't exist anymore, because it's such a with 151 Japanese, supply and demand, like that law doesn't apply because the system itself is broken, because there's no one knows how many are actually out there except for me, where I know that these Japanese suppliers are holding literally hundreds and hundreds of cases. My supplier themselves has a wall from like side to side, probably 15, 20 feet, floor to ceiling, 3 cases deep. There are a shitload of 151 booster boxes out there. So the concept of supply and demand, it doesn't actually apply here because it's so everything's so manipulated.
Sure.
So when you're investing in 151 at $160 a box, and if a reprint gets announced, even if there was no added inventory to the world, if a reprint was announced and it was a lie, if the Japanese people panic, they could sell for 1/3 of what they bought for and still be double MSRP. Like, they're buying the stuff, like the vendors in Japan, the Miis of Japan are buying a box of 151 for like $27, $28 maybe. And so market price is 160. You could cut 160 in half and half and half and half and half, and they're still making money. So that's why I think it could be dangerous, because there's really no floor or ceiling for these people, and they'll still make money. Now, when you get to the point of like, maybe next year, like 2026, that's when I don't like to use the G word, guarantee, but I'd say you're pretty well guaranteed they're not going to reprint 151 again. That might be a good time to buy some. Like EV Heroes, that seems like a valid investment. But yeah, I see what Rudy's saying. I mean, it's different for sure.
Yeah, I want to say you touched on that because once again, we're doing a little bit of research before the stream, and I want to say you might have talked about this today even. So are distros holding English like that?
Yeah, that's kind of the rumor, the flavor of the day lately. I really don't think they are. They definitely hold product, as do I, for certain things that that happen. Like for Prismatic Evolutions, for example, I held 2 cases of ETBs because every time there's a new release, shit gets lost, it gets damaged, it gets stolen, it gets reported lost, and then credit card scam. Every single release, something happens. So I always hold 2 cases of anything. And sure as hell, 3 ETBs got lost in the mail and 1 came dented, so I did an exchange and it was fine. Distros do that too. I actually got a whole pallet of Obsidian Flames booster boxes a couple months back. And you guys might have seen my video, but the first like 3 layers of booster boxes were just absolutely desecrated by the forklift. So my distributor, sent me new ones, and I kept the old ones for a discounted price because I could sell the packs. But so they always keep probably several pallets for each, X amount of pallets. So they keep a pallet in case something goes wrong. So they do hold back inventory to an extent. And as far as what else they do with it, I mean, I don't work there. I can't tell you for sure. I'm not going to pretend I know exactly how these operations work. But what I can tell you is the big dogs, like you guys know the top 5. I'm not going to say it because I'll get in trouble. The big dogs, the sales managers work on commission, and the people up on top distribute products to them for their vendors, me. So like my guy, we'll say his name's Ryan, you know, he works directly with me. And so when I order stuff through Ryan gets a percentage of what I'm allocated. So for the big dogs, I can't imagine any reality where these salespeople would be cool with the big boss going, yeah, we're going to hold these and we're going to distribute it. As coming from someone that's worked in corporate America with red tape up the ass, I don't see how that's a realistic probability or possibility. I really don't. I do know that distributors, and this is something I believe Danny Phantom might have talked about in a couple of videos actually, distributors actually buy stuff from the market too. They don't only get stuff from Pokemon. They buy stuff from other stores that are either closing down, they're over leveraged, need some cash. They buy stuff from each other depending on certain things. You know, if a distributor X needs more of these sport cards and distributor Y has Pokemon but doesn't need this, like they'll trade. They're a market too. So my distributor, one of them, made a big deal with another large distributor for Prismatic Evolution ETBs, and they paid over market price for those. So my distributor sold me those at, we'll say, between $90 and $110, so I don't get sued. So they get product after Pokemon's release, but I don't necessarily think they're holding all of this stuff because it's just, you guys got to remember, these distributors, these are big, some of them publicly traded, very large, multi-deca-million-dollar companies. They're not trying to play this like D-Gen game that you and me are. I'm a D-Gen. I play silly games because I don't have any real expenses or risk. But these big respectable companies, they're not these degenerate YouTubers that you are. So when they get product, they want to get it off the books. You know, they want to churn and burn and get to the next thing. They want to keep their warehouses clean. I promise you, I have waived enough hundreds of thousands of dollars in all three of my distributors' faces for Prismatic Evolutions ETBs, saying I will pay you up to $115 in ETB. Just give them to me. They all said we don't have any and we can't order more. If they wanted to take special extra money deals, they would have taken them from me. I promise you. And you know what? In full disclosure, I would have paid up to 120 in ETB and I would have just kept those in the back of my basement because I think selling them at anything north of 120 would be a little too controversial. Like if they're holding back inventory and they're rejecting, you know, I offered my last guy $250,000 for Prismatic. If they're rejecting that, I don't know what rip and shipper you think has more than that in cash, but maybe you should ask them. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. That makes total sense. They gotta turn and burn. They don't have unlimited space either too, but sorry. I was trying to get my next question going, but tailing off of the distribution and the lack of product available at distribution, which I believe is something you talked about recently. Are you getting anything from the secondary market? Like, is that where you're having to go now as well?
For English, I don't do anything from the secondary market in English. I don't know why, honestly. Okay, that's not true. I made one deal with a guy. This guy in Arizona's got a store, and he's focusing mainly on like board games, Magic, other stuff, and not so much on Pokemon. So I did make a deal with him. I bought about $40,000 of Obsidian, Paldean Evolved, and actually some cool vintage stuff, strangely enough. But that was it. As far as everything else, if I can't get it from distro, I don't buy it. Obviously from Japan, all of that is technically secondary market.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't make that barrier cross with English. I don't know why. Maybe I should.
Do you see it being a necessity? Like if the market continues to your allocation numbers, you're talking like you're getting 15% ish, depending on what it is. Like if your business continues to scale, like, is that something you've thought about having to do this year at all? Or is it just, you'll cross that bridge when you get there kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just basically right now, everyone, it's so funny. I'll make a video about this. Everyone right now thinks this is the time to like cash out and make your money and take advantage of the market. And I'm doing the complete opposite. Right now is, to me, this is not you're winning year. This is a growth opportunity year. So every cent that I make doesn't go to my bank account. It goes to my distributors. I'm buying the most random shit no one could ever possibly want. and I'm building my brand as much as possible with them. So any dollar I'd spend on anything English on like TCG Player, I'd rather just give to my distributor.
Sure.
So today it's a growth moment. And everyone's like, oh, run, when there's smoke, run towards the flames if you want to win. People think they're listening to that right now by, playing the market the way you and I would think you'd play the market right now. But the irony is people selling right now and taking advantage of the gains, like they're doing it wrong. You should be taking any dollar that you can from any source and throwing it back in the pots. And so I don't want a future where I need to ever rely on the secondary market. I'm using this year to do what no one else is doing. I'm buying all the stuff no one wants. I'm building my name so that the next boom market, say in 2020, I don't know, 7, 8, or 9, then I'll never even have to consider buying from the secondary market because my distributors will give me infinite product. At least several $1 million per release is what I want. So I'm playing the long game. I don't think I need to buy from the secondary market. If shit runs out, then I do Japanese, I do Korean, I do Indonesian, Thai, Chinese. You just gotta, I'm doing One Piece. You gotta make it work.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Also, being where you were at before the market hit, the bull market rather, that puts you in that position. And so, yeah, really smart to take that and just keep rolling that in. And just, if you never have to go to the secondary market, you never have to go. And that's great. Cause Alex was we talked about how he sources packs, and he's on Instagram, he makes a post, people come to him, he buys on the secondary market, he funds his rip and ship. But that's what you have to do at his level. And in your levels at a different thing. So it's interesting just to hear all of that. Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Oahu Built. They've been subs of the channel for a while. I met them at Collecticon just the other day. Really nice people, and they did have a question. They wanted to let you know, that they followed your advice, made a website, and then thanks to your video, they're running into scam orders and actively canceling them. So it sounds like they're getting ahead of a potential big issue.
I love it. Thanks for watching, y'all. Yeah, the scams are scary. If you know how to tackle them, they're not bad, but I'm glad it helped.
Do you know, is Shopify still shutting down Pokemon sites?
Oh, yes, they are. I actually still get emails about this often, and usually I just paste the URL of my video where I warn people not to use Shopify. So I just respond with that, and I click "Have a good day."
Yeah. Okay. So there you go, Jay. There's your answer for that. Changing topics just a little bit. Do you have a favorite Pokemon?
Oh God, it changes all the time. I mean, I have a Charizard tattoo, so you'd think that would be a top 5. I have a Milotic tattoo, and my next one's going to be a Kabutops. So you could argue those are pretty popular ones. I really like Ampharos. He's always kind of been my go-to. He's just a silly guy. I'd say like Ampharos, Scizor, and strangely enough, Ice-Q I'm a huge fan of. Those are like definitely like top 3.
Okay, interesting.
My dog's named Eevee, so I guess I named my freaking first dog Eevee. That should be my favorite Pokemon. It's really hard to tell, but those are like my top 5 or 6.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool. I feel like Ampharos kind of popular, but I feel like that's like a little bit of a little hidden gem there with making. He seems high.
Oddly underrated.
Yeah. That's cool.
He's got a Mega, so like he's important enough to have a Mega evolution. But yeah, people don't like him enough.
Yeah. That's fun. I liked your answers for that. So you made a video. I want to say it was definitely over a month ago or around a month, talking about Journey Together, crashing the market or potentially crashing the market. Now that we're a little closer to the release. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that will be the set? I know you ended the video with like, it's probably not going to be Journey Together, but it'll be a set that happens. How do you think that's going to come about as far as like, now that you have more allocation numbers? You have your allocations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we got all our numbers.
Are you really like, it's not going to be Journey now? Or
no, it absolutely will not. It will not.
Okay.
No, there's not even a small smidgen of a chance. I know Danny's numbers. I know my numbers. Like, there's not enough Journey Together at all. But that video was basically about, at some point there is going to be a Journey Together level set, a set just as hype, a set just as like, whoa, that will crash the market, because if I would have got what I ordered from my distributors for Journey Together, assuming everyone else also would have got what they ordered, that's when the market would crash. So for some perspective, I ordered about $500,000 of Journey Together. I do not have $500,000 in cash. I am not doing that well. Pokeannie is doing great, but $500,000 in booster boxes alone, that's outrageous. I ordered that many because, in my opinion, there's some sort of, this is not proven, by the way, but there's some sort of equation like, okay, Pokeannie's been really good. He ordered $500,000. He's clearly interested in the set. He's given us a lot of money in these other things. Let's give him X% of what he wants. It's not completely cut and dry, but like that's kind of the thought process. You put in more than what you think you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so that attitude is not just mine. A lot of folks have that attitude. They put in way more than they think they're actually going to get. The point of my video with the crash thing was, at some point, let's call it 10 months from now, when Pokemon's printers are printing to demand, at some point, some idiot like me, probably me, is going to order $500,000 of a set, and we're actually going to get $500,000 of that set. And then, if you're smart, you'll sell them at MSRP and everything will be okay. But what's actually going to happen is me and all the idiots like me are going to go, oh crap, I didn't think I'd get $500,000 a set. I'm going to discount it to $125. And then some other idiot that ordered too much is going to go, ooh, I'm going to discount it to $120. And it's going to go down the line. And then that's when we're going to get to $100 booster boxes again, which is exactly what happened with Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, and Battle Styles. The same exact thing happened. COVID obviously affected the market and attitudes, but the TLDR is vendors like me way over ordered these sets. The distributors actually gave them what they ordered, and they said, oh crap, how are we going to pay the next invoice in like a month and a half? Sell. Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, and Battle Style, despite what the YouTubers will tell you, those were never bad sets. And I think its performance right now illustrates that. People get so confused with pricing. They think pricing equals bad set. Those were never bad sets. They were only cheap because all the idiots like me ordered too many and had to sell them to get to the next invoice. This whole entire thing, everything you guys see that I do, it's all a Ponzi scheme. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul. We buy stuff and sell it, and we got to get that money back for the next invoice that we order from the distributors, and it just repeats and repeats and repeats until you have enough capital to where you don't need to rob Peter to pay Paul, which I have hit that level, but a lot of people have not. So it will crash. It will be horrible. I just don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be awful.
So over leveraging, essentially.
Yeah, people will over leverage, panic sell, and then the smart ones, like you people out there watching, if you're smart, when the Journey Together of 2026 comes out and idiots like me are fire selling it, if you're smart, you will buy them because they're not a bad set. It's just we over leveraged, and give it a year or two, and it's going to be just like Fusion Strike. So there's a little lesson for you.
Yeah, there was a while Fusion Strike was real cheap. I remember watching somebody had a TikTok series. They were ripping Fusion Pack a day while they're sitting on their toilet, and it was like, I don't know. It was just like it could be ripped, it could be had readily available, and now it's wild. Yeah. I think you kind of just touched on this question from Dusty. Not thoughts on people leaving the hobby in the current state, but when, if ever, do things change for the average consumers? And Brian just talked about the over leveraging that will trickle down and will bring the prices down. But as far as like a time frame, I don't know if anybody can really put a time frame on it per se. It could be way longer than people think. It could be way shorter. I think anyone who's telling you anything for certain, in my opinion, is just clueless, because I don't think you can predict that right now, from my perspective. And then as far as like thoughts on people leaving the hobby, it's obviously, I'm sure there's tons of people bouncing off right now, because especially if you're like super casual, maybe the new app came out, the Pokemon Pocket, right? Probably bringing a lot of people back to cards.
Definitely.
And then you get in and you go, oh yeah, I remember I liked cards. And then you go in and you see how expensive things are. I'm sure there's tons of people bouncing off, and they might not ever come back. But Pokeplumber has the answers. It's August or September, apparently.
I think that seems it seems reasonable in that, like I said, between like that 6 and 9 month timeline where like Pokemon needs to print stuff early. You know, assuming Pokemon is ramping up now, whatever that set is in September or August, that would theoretically be the only one so far that's been printed to demand. Because it would take that long. Like the black and white set's coming too soon, so like that one definitely won't be the one that you're going to get for a good price. But yeah, if we had to take a guess, like August or September, like whatever set comes out, like late summer, early fall, I would imagine that's when Pokemon becomes more affordable, at least.
I think it'd be good for everyone, honestly. At least, you know, I don't think we're going to see like, you know, $100 booster boxes, but you know, maybe we meet in the middle a little bit closer, you know, and I think that would
120 is nice. 120 is a good number.
Yeah, I mean, sign me up. I'm down. That sounds like the gold mine there for as far as on the investing side. You know, getting stuff under MSRP sounds really great if we're able to secure that. Let's see. More of a business related question. Like with full hindsight being 2020, what was your biggest hurdle like that you wish you had overcome sooner? Was it like not fully committing all the way at the time, quitting your job sooner, moving to the basement? Like, what was the one that you know you wish you would have done sooner? It was hard for you to commit to.
Oh, that's a good question. God, I guess I'm pretty proud of a lot of the progress I made. I certainly wish I would have done more research on like how to avoid certain scams sooner. There wasn't really anyone doing what I'm doing now that kind of gave people a heads up, but I wish I would have kind of slowed down and just looked at like the risk. Certainly, okay, actually I do have one. Looking up tax law and understanding how taxes work would have been a hurdle. Like looking back at, I'm like, I wish I would have done that better, because a lot of people don't know this. It's like when you're an online store, the very short and sweet version of this is if you sell a certain amount of products in a certain state, you hit Nexus is what it's called. And that means then you have to charge that state sales tax and then remit that sales tax to that state's government. And most people don't know that. They just go, oh, I don't have to charge sales tax because I don't know. Well, understand tax code and tax law before you start a business, because that one cost me, I don't even want to do the math. I mean, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And you could argue up to 100 based on the time it took me to the time in therapy it led me in. So that would be a tax law.
Yeah, that's it's like a scary, intimidating thing too, but very important, obviously, especially once you hit that threshold.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be scary. That's like what I wish I could tell myself in the past. If you understand it and you just pay someone to teach you, it doesn't need to be scary. It just feels
like so scary, but yeah,
it does. Yeah.
If you're gonna take your business seriously, it's definitely something you should address for sure.
Yeah, my biggest issue was I just never really thought I'd get big enough to where that'd be a problem. So I guess maybe like don't doubt yourself.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
no, that's a big one too. Okay. Next up, do you have a favorite set if you had to pick one, or a favorite era?
Yeah, when I answer this question, it's typically one of the sets that we did back when I did Rip and Ships on Twitch, because that was probably the funnest part of running the company, was like the Twitch community I had. So like we had a ton of fun opening like VMAX. Climax was like a big set that we'd open a lot of. So we had a ton of fun doing that. You know, like the God Packs were kind of a new thing. We had a ton of fun with Tag Team All-Stars. That was a really good set. Strangely enough, one of the best sets we opened that I really enjoyed was it was the Japanese, very specific Japanese Start Deck 100 deck boxes. There was it's a little tiny product, and it's a deck box just like we have in English, but they're numbered 0 to 101. There's like hidden numbers. And if you get the right deck box, there's a secret Marnie card and then secret legendary bird cards, and they're extremely rare. But we opened those like they were booster boxes. So that was like one of my funnest sets to open, was these Start Deck 100s. If you guys are listening at home, look up Start Deck 100s, like secret cards. It's a really cool set.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually not something I'm even aware of. I'll have to check that out too. That sounds interesting.
It's really neat.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Another rumor, like, well, not a rumor, more of a theory that kind of is floating around. Um, is sorry, guys. We'll get to your questions in a second. I know I got some pre-written stuff done. I just wanted to touch. I'm almost done with that. Is a lot of people are theorizing that some of what has been allocated for the distributors is moving towards big box stores. You know, your Walmart, Target, your Macy's. Now we're seeing Ace Hardware, all these other, and Pokemon is switching towards that. Do you think that is affecting any of the distribution numbers at all, or are they completely separate? Do you think?
I just don't get where people get these ideas.
Yeah,
I mean, like where did you hear that?
Mostly comments. I get a lot of comments about it. Reddit, seeing it on Reddit, seeing it in Discord, stuff like that, and so that's
random people
where you see it. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't understand where these ideas come from.
I mean, I'm not really a big guy who goes to Macy's, and I haven't really noticed at my Ace Hardware store carrying Pokemon cards. But you know, there's something to be said if all of a sudden Macy's is getting cards. I don't know. Maybe Macy's has had cards forever, but if Macy's is starting to get cards and Ace is starting to get cards, you know, I don't know how much that would affect something. But you know, they are there.
Yeah, I mean, like as a kid, I remember finding Pokemon cards in the most random stores. Like they were always like, it was always like so novel. Like Barnes and Noble, that used to be a weird place to find cards. Now it's pretty mainstream. But when you're a kid, that's like, oh, cards at the bookstore. This is crazy. Gas stations, you know, whatever. Like all these places have had cards forever, as Bones says here. I think now people are just noticing it more because it's probably the only place you could find them. Like people aren't really looking at Macy's actively.
Sure.
I was more saying, like, where did you hear the rumor that like that's affecting, you know, me and Pokemon's got some secret agenda where they're giving away more to big box? I really don't think Pokemon cares where it goes. I think every distributor that's making Pokemon money, to me, Pokemon would want to continue making money with them. So if like Southern Hobby is doing a good job, I don't see why Pokemon would have some secret vendetta against them all of a sudden and be like, no, we're going to go to MJ Holdings now because they have partnerships with Target and we want more in Target. I don't see why that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think where a lot of these rumors come from, if I'm being honest, because there's a lot of crybabies that have my distributor that don't get enough because I don't spend enough. I think it's those people. I think it's people that can't cope with the fact that, oh, I ignored my distributor for the past year because Stellar Crown was only selling for $100 on TCG Player, which was the same as the distributor price. It's those people who didn't support their distributor, and now they're looking at it like, why aren't I getting product? Well, it's because you sucked at your job. You had one job, and it was to support your distributor, and you ignored them because Paradox Rift wasn't cool. And so now you're like, why aren't I getting product? Oh, it must be because Pokemon's against me. Pokemon's against the little guy. It's like, no, you just suck. Like, that's where these rumors come from. That was kind of a leading question, because it doesn't, like, whenever there's a conspiracy theory, which I love conspiracy theories, but for them to have any merit, I think someone needs to be a clear winner. Like, look at any conspiracy. Okay, the I'm trying to think of one that's not completely controversial here. Okay, flat Earth, right? That conspiracy theory. Nobody wins if the Earth is flat versus if it's round. So it's an illogical theory. Like, there's no winner. What would the government gain from tricking us into thinking the Earth is flat? Nothing. Compared to the moon landing conspiracy theory, there'd be a reason why we'd want to lie about going to the moon. Oh, to beat Russia in space conquest. Like, I don't believe that conspiracy theory, but at least that one I'm like, oh, there's a winning reason why we would do this. Mm-hmm. With Pokemon, I've been talking about distributors too. Distributors backdooring it to rip and shippers, not stores like mine, but rip and shippers specifically, because rip and shippers are evil. That's another conspiracy theory. I'm like, guys, they don't care who's getting it. They just want the money. That's all they want. They want the money, and they're going to give the money to whoever is, one, holding the money out, and two, will continue holding the money out. And so, Macy's and these gas stations and Ace Hardware, yeah, they might be getting more product than they used to get, but Pokemon is still going to still going to be biased towards stores like mine, and even more so towards LGS stores that buy stuff when the market's not hot and not cool, where they're still being supported. These distributors are looking for a long-term partner. Ace Hardware holding up a couple $100,000 in the year 2025 isn't going to entice them, because in the year 2027, they're going to go back to selling hammers. I don't know. I think it's silly. I really do.
No. Perfect. So that, I mean, you know, it's kind of all, it's not all over the place, but, you know, like I said, it pops up in your Reddits and other places and stuff, people theorizing. So there you have it from, you know, from the guy who has a lot of distribution access. You know, I don't, the big brand store moving over, if it's doing anything, it's not much. Right.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense.
Opinion.
It makes sense the way you put it too. It's always nice to put it, you know, have somebody put it in the proper perspective. Right. Daniel had a question. Are you looking to get English One Piece eventually, or are you just sticking with Japanese?
I would love to get English One Piece. My distros don't carry it. I think there's only one, maybe two that do have English One Piece. And from what I heard, those distributors both kind of suck. They don't give you much, and because there isn't much to give. And they also have really bad customer service. So I've tried to get involved with these distros. As of now, they only work with brick and mortar. And again, the people that have them don't think they're very great anyway. So until One Piece expands to every distro, I'd like to have them, but I probably won't.
Okay. Next, last two questions that I have written down, and then we'll go open it up for everyone. You know, after the success, do you have a splurge purchase that you've made since the success, or is it like you're so batting down the hatches, you're reinvesting everything, or has there been something you treated yourself, you rewarded yourself with for the grind?
No, that's a great question. No, I don't believe in buying things. I just don't. I don't like anything really. I have some nice headphones, those like pretentious Apple Beats Max Pro, whatever they're called.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I have a very old Mazda. I've had these clothes since I was in like college. Like this hoodie's been around for at least 12 years. I just don't believe in buying things other than things to build your brand more. So I probably won't ever buy anything, honestly.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I just was wondering if there was like a, you know, a lot of people like a car, you know, but if you're happy with the car,
I think
there's no reason.
Silly.
You know, your car just gets you from A to B, and there's speed limits. You can only go so fast, anyway. So
and ideally, you don't. Yeah, I don't know. If I got uber rich, like I think the day I have like $10 million cash, I might start splurging. But that's probably never even going to happen. Like $10 million cash is a lot of money. Like maybe when I'm like 70 or 80, that's realistic. But I don't know. I see a lot of stores like at or around my level who, you know, they might make 200,000 a year in profit. And then they buy a Rolex. And I'm like, bro, like that Rolex costs like 40 grand. You could have took that, use it for capital, for inventory, turn that into, you know, $48,000 roughly, and then took that 40. Like none of my competitors, I promise you, unless you're freaking Rudy from Alpha Investment, who is not one of my competitors, he's light years above me. None of y'all doing what I'm doing. None of y'all can actually afford a Rolex. None of y'all can actually afford a Lambo. You're just pretending you can. So I would stop. I would grind for another 10 years and then maybe consider it if you still want it. But if you have time to drive a Lambo when you're doing what I'm doing, then you're not working hard enough. Because I promise you, all my Lambo jokes, that's what everyone's talking. I joke about Lambos all the time. I don't have time to drive a Lamborghini. I'm in a basement in a secret lab chair. I don't know. So for the business people watching me, I just don't understand it. I think it's silly.
Okay. All right. What about I'm gonna dig on this one just so I find something. Like, what about you eaten anything? Like, what's your splurge, your go-to meal to treat yourself? You have to have something like that, right? Something small.
We get concretes from Culver's. I don't know if Culver's is like it's an ice cream place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar, but
yeah, it's I think it's Wisconsin. It's where it's from, but no, we have been eating well. Like we get like Hello Fresh, so we don't have to grocery shop. They like ship you the food.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I get factor meals, so they're like pretty high protein, high calorie meals. But like, I'm not like going out for steak dinners. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, I didn't mean it like that. I meant like even just like if you had like a Carl's Jr. thing, like you got to get that double Western bacon. I don't know. I
gotcha.
just something to make you happy. It wasn't necessarily about the money.
Oh
We
yeah,
got a little
no.
sidetracked on it, but
Culver's concretes, which are basically like Dairy Queen black, the shake looking thing. And anyone that lives in Nebraska knows La Casa Pizza is the best pizza out there. But there might be a couple Nebraskans in your chat.
Okay, yeah. DJ Kate says Culver's kicks ass.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Okay, not familiar. But I'll take Dairy Queen, In-N-Out. I'm the In-N-Out guy in California. So
okay, yeah, similar ice cream, I'm sure.
Last question: have you been to Japan, and do you plan to go? Starting with the Japanese, being a big thing for you. Have you thought about going at all?
Oh my god, this question it hurts me so much. Yeah, because I've tried to go to no. I'm saying it's a good. I'm saying it hurts me to hear it because it reminds me of how many times I've failed. Oh. It's a great question. No, I wanted to go years ago now, and COVID messed it up. Or no, I just couldn't go. My wife didn't want me to leave her behind with the company because it was new and I was stressed out. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair. And so we got to a point where I was like, she knew how to do everything and she was comfortable working the company for like 2 weeks by herself. Mm-hmm. And she actually said, she gave me the green light. She's like, yep, go ahead. You deserve it. Go to Japan. So I spend like a week and a half planning this trip. And then COVID hits. And the everything gets shut down. And I'm like, okay, that sucked. And so Japan, after a year or two, my timelines are going to be murky. But they opened up their gates for a little bit. And I tried to go again. And by the time I got it all said and done, they shut down because like a new strain came about, like a new COVID strain. Is that the word, strain? Whatever the word is.
It's like a variant.
A variant, yeah. And so that screwed that plan up. And then finally, COVID ends, lockdowns end, and I'm ready to go emotionally. But now we're doing $20,000 in sales a day. And I'm like, well, I can't leave my wife here with us. So I'll probably like never get to go. Like it kind of sucks. I don't know, like realistically when I would be able to.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Have you been there?
Just recently. It was
so jealous.
October we went. It wasn't for Pokemon per se. We just always wanted to go. My wife and I always wanted to go. Absolutely amazing. We went for like, I think it was like 10 days, 9 or 10.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it was so cool. I really enjoyed it. And then plus, the Pokemon stuff too. I hit up all the card shops in like Akihabara and stuff. And it was just so cool. I went to like Kyoto, saw all the old stuff. And actually it's kind of wild too. When we were flying back, not at the airport we were flying from, but there was another airport that had a bomb from World War II that was under the tarmac. Like it got paved over. They didn't know it was there and it blew up. Nobody got hurt, but it was just like kind of a wild thing to have happen while we were there. It didn't affect us in any way, but it was just, we're on the plane and I just see that on Google News or like on my Google feed. And yeah, so it was wild. But yeah, you gotta make some time. You gotta make some time at some point. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be when I'm older. I'm honestly really banking on supersonic travel coming back, like in the next like 30 years, because I want to be able to get there in like 8 hours. I don't think I could do the plane ride, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could break it up. Well, you're on the other side. I mean, I don't know. You could break it up. You could come this way and then go to Hawaii and split it in half. But
it might help a little bit. I just I'm banking on supersonic travel. I need that. I need that to come to a reality here. So 30 years maybe they'll have that.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Right. Well, that's all I got for my like written questions. If anyone has anything else, shoot it in the chat now. Or if Brian, if you have anything you want to specifically talk about, we're kind of we hit the time frame of around an hour, so we'll slowly start to wrap things up. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, throw them in the chat now. Unless you have a specific anything else you wanted to touch on.
I appreciate all the Omaha people in your chat. They're shouting out Runza, great restaurant here in Omaha, Nebraska. So I appreciate your chat. But no, I mean,
Oh,
God,
Renzo.
your questions were like, he said it'd be an hour, and he like asked the perfect amount of questions to get to an hour. It's actually insane.
Yeah.
You somehow knew that I just don't shut up when I answer a question. You like factored all that in.
I watched the videos. I had an idea. Yeah, no, it was perfect. Oh, here we go. I think Nova asked this earlier. How do y'all feel about GameStop canceling Journey Together pre-orders?
I think that was very predictable. People are really shocked. GameStop cancels pre-orders all the time.
Yeah.
And they always have. And I've said that in comments, and I've gotten like berated for it because they're like, oh, he just wants you to buy from him. I'm like, no, GameStop's always sucked at pre-orders. And, you know, now it's more because of a policy shift where they're not doing pre-orders at all ever again. And yeah, I think it's the beginning of the end for people simping for GameStop. I'm actually glad that the truth is finally coming out, to be honest. I've never been a fan.
Yeah, my buddy Ben had some pre-orders for prismatic ETBs, and they canceled all of his. Well, not all of them. He ended up being like 2. So, and that was just at a local in-store, not even online.
Yeah, I mean they were canceling stuff back when Hidden Fates was a thing. Like, I don't know why people always like thought GameStop was on their side. This year, it's very apparent, hopefully, that GameStop is not on your side. What a mess of a company that is. My goodness.
Yeah, it's come. Yeah, I mean, you know, it seems like they're trying to transition to the game store thing, you know, but I don't know. I think they're going to turn off a lot of people away. But I also thought, you know, at the time that they had something really good going with the grading thing with PSA. I thought that was really cool. People could come in, they could just like send in just a few cards, and it was pretty cheap at the time. I think they upped the price recently, but you know, that seemed like a real good step in the right direction to save them as a company. But then, you know, I don't know. Now it seems like
it was definitely a funnel. They wanted to make a really good deal at first. They probably lost money doing it, especially with the staff and all that time spent. It was just a funnel. It's just like TikTok Shop. It was a funnel, and you guys all fell for it.
Yeah. See you, Plumber. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. All right. Well, I'm not really seeing too many comments in here from you guys to end it all. Okay. Actually, here's an interesting one for you too. How do you deal with all the cardboard and packaging waste at a residential address? Getting a private dumpster. I mean, because like the Japanese side is so efficient, and then you have the English is so horrible. Like I hate it too. It's just like we waste so much plastic and stuff. But like, how are you handling that?
Yeah, there's nothing that like exemplifies the stereotype of Japanese culture versus American than looking at the way Pokemon products get shipped. It's crazy. It was complete luck, but my in-laws mentioned this recycling plant in Omaha, about 40 minutes north of us, that takes cardboard, and a lot of the recycles, a lot of it goes into diaper manufacturing, like baby diapers.
Oh, really?
And then they do other stuff with the stuff they can't use, but it's all free. It doesn't cost any money, so it's amazing. So we take it all up there, and it's just, I don't know how many thousands of dollars that saved me, but I would be a wreck if they ever shut down.
Right.
That'd be so bad.
Yeah, I could only imagine, because I already feel like I go through so much too. I feel bad. I wish they would. I wish they would really change how they do it. But yeah, I mean, like the Sea and Sky boxes are massive.
They're 27 inches long.
Okay, there you go. He's got it.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it's. Here's a one for you on the Japanese side. What do you think of the prices of Japanese heatwave coming out?
I think a couple of weeks ago it was worse than it is now, and I think that's good evidence that you shouldn't pre-order Japanese sets very early these days. I think it's going to probably end up being a lot like Battle Partners, like $10 to $115 on the market for a while. Maybe a reprint will get announced, because they reprint stuff pretty quickly in Japan. A reprint will get announced. People will panic in Japan. The price will dip down to like $86 would be my guess, and then skyrocket right back up to 105. You can clip this and let's see how accurate I am. But I think it'll look a lot like Battle Partners did. Team Rocket's going to be really bad, but this one will be just moderately bad.
Glow TCG says thoughts on the Pokemon vending machine limits. I heard it hasn't helped much, but I saw this, but like, how would they enforce it? Saw a little thing that says like pops up on the screen says no loitering, and it's
I
like,
saw
and
that
they limit
too.
the purchase, but how are they gonna enforce that? They're gonna have a security guard stand there and enforce it? Like,
My
I don't know.
guess is it has some kind of like a timer where if you make a purchase, no one can make another purchase for like, I don't know, X amount of minutes, which would be
Oh,
super inconvenient,
yeah,
but it might just do the trick. I mean, I don't know. That's just my guess. I don't know how else they'd enforce that.
yeah. It doesn't seem like it's gonna work.
No, I probably won't. I think that's another just Pokemon kind of doing damage control, like a little PR, like, oh, we're working on it, little guys, and they just make a post and pretend to care.
Yeah. Do you know? I don't know what Pokemon Auto Chess is, or even a Pokemon Champion. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's the like the new battle game, isn't it? Is that what they're calling it?
I don't know. I'm honestly not positive.
Yeah, I know there's like a Pokemon Battle Revolution, Pokemon Stadium type game coming out where it's
Okay.
just all about battling, and they brought back all the normal battle mechanics. So I think that's what that is.
New
It looks
Pokemon
cool.
Stadium. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I don't know what auto chess is. I wasn't able to watch the whole Pokemon Direct, but the champion game looks cool. Me and my buddies, we got Pokemon Battle Revolution, which was the closest thing to Stadium in the modern era, and we had a blast. We played that for probably 10 hours a week. We were obsessed. So if it's anything like that with like hopefully improved graphics, I'm all for it. And yeah, I know there is the cross play between mobile and the Switch, so I think it'll be like a cell phone thing too.
Oh, that's
I think
cool.
it'll be a huge success. It shuts up all the people who like only like the purist competitor. It kind of like gets them, it throws them a bone, and then they have room for the more fun, like novel, nuanced games like AZ for the purist, so they don't piss them off too much. I'll play it. I'll buy it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys who watched, every single one who commented. Brian, obviously, for coming on the stream, the super chats, everything. I really appreciated. It was a super fun stream. I think it was fairly productive. We had some good questions. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by. And anything you want to plug or shout out to end it off?
Well, go to my YouTube channel, Pokeany_Pokemon. We're gonna hit 50,000 subs like within probably 48 hours. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
You're real close.
It's very crazy. I did not anticipate that at all this year. It's not on my bingo card for 2025. So yeah, go do that. I'd really appreciate it. But
we got another super from Winsanity. Big fan of Brian.
Love it.
Yeah, it should be linked in the title and description. If you haven't discovered Brian, it's linked right there for you guys, so you guys can go check him out.
That's all I really got to say. I appreciate you having me on the show. I've been watching your channel for a hot minute now. You're one of my go-tos when I'm doing orders, so it's like you're always on in the background.
Interesting. Oh, that's cool, man.
Oh, all yeah.
Right. Maybe we'll do something again in the future. That would be fun too. So, but yeah, that's all we got for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, it was never a phase. All right, I think.